Alright, how's it going guys? Today we're going to do a bit of a quick review on the big T700. It's been requested by a few people. As always, the disclaimer goes, I am no expert on motorcycles whatsoever, and especially when it comes to adventure bikes. This is my first big bike, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, but as requested, I'm happy to give you guys my opinion of this bike so far. And I certainly hope that professional looking intro doesn't make you guys think that this is going to be a professional review, because far from it. So I've been wanting to do a bit of a review of the bike for a while now, but as everyone knows, every dirt bike is a work in progress. It's never fully set up the way you want it, but I just wanted to get a few things for it, and at the moment it's time consuming and difficult to get parts for anything because of COVID and all that, so it's taken a bit longer than I had hoped to get it to where it is now, where I'm pretty well happy with it. So it's pretty much got everything on it now that I want on it, obviously aside from knobby tyres. I do have some knobby tyres for it, as some of you guys have seen. I've got some golden tyres, but for various reasons I haven't fitted them yet. I'm still waiting for Nat to get a 390 sorted, and I hope this lapel mic's cutting out that wind noise for you guys. So yeah, there's really no point in me fitting knobbies to this until the wife gets some wheels and tyres sorted out for the 390. At the moment, these tyres easily smash anything that that those crappy TKCs on the 390 will handle. And for the sort of riding that we've been doing anyway, which is a lot of 50-50 sort of stuff, these tyres are okay for that. So once again, disclaimer guys, this is my first big bike. I don't know much about big bikes. I haven't ridden any other adventure sort of bikes apart from the WR250R, which is more of a little low maintenance dirt bike than anything like this. So I've got about 3,500 kilometers on the big T7 now. I haven't done, obviously with these tyres, I just haven't done a lot of the sort of gnarlier stuff that we're hoping to get into eventually, but we're getting there, and I'm sort of getting a bit of a feel for the bike. So I think probably in another 6 months I'll be able to do a better review, and if you subscribe to this channel, well, you'll see a lot more footage in the meantime of this bike. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, why aren't you? Hit that button down there, it's free. Anyway, before I get on to what I think of the bike, I'll go into a pretty detailed list of everything I've done to it, what I've added, what I've taken off, what I've changed, so we'll get straight into that first. So obviously the first thing I did when I got the bike home was remove the rubber inserts from the foot pegs, and also removed the pillion pegs because this one's only registered as a single seat anyway. Also raised up the front guard. If you didn't know, it's got an adjustable front guard. Even though it is the low guard, you can raise it up a little bit and it gives you a little bit more clearance for mud under there. I don't know why anyone wouldn't raise that up. It's very easy to do. There's a few bolts there to loosen off and off you go. Up the front here I also removed these stupid reflectors. I know they're a safety thing, but they're ugly. They're actually mounted to a bracket that you have to remove to get them off. You could grind the reflectors themselves off of the bracket and keep the bracket on there, but I find that without the bracket it's not too bad anyway. It does provide a bit of support for the guard and that, but I just took them off, and haven't had any dramas with that. Also, I've fitted the genuine Yamaha radiator guard there. I guess it gives a little bit better protection from sticks and rocks compared to the plastic one. It is pretty flimsy, but as I said, it is better than the plastic one, I reckon. When it came to bash plate, I went straight to Aussie's finest, B&B Off-Road Engineering. This thing is a beast. It's 5mm alloy plate, and this bash plate supports the whole weight of the bike, no worries at all. Gives great protection for your exhaust, your oil filter and whatnot at the front here, and it also has a replaceable poly linkage guard there, which is pretty good. You don't get that on a lot of bash plates for the T7. Rear luggage rack also came from B&B. I don't have that on today because it is one of the designs that covers up the pillion seat, so you have to undo 4 bolts to take it off. I didn't need it on today, and I wanted to show you guys underneath the seat, so that's not on at the moment. B&B also supplied the tail tidy, which just makes the back of the bike look so much cleaner. Now on the topic of protection, I really wasn't going to go with crash bars on this. I was originally just going to get the engine covers for the sides here and the water pump, but I've ended up going with some Outback Motortech lower crash bars. I think that's a pretty good compromise between weight and protection. It gives the radiator a fair bit of protection here, and also the casing. It's not going to protect from every fall, I know, but at least I've got something on there, and they are quite good. You can see they have a brace that goes across the front. Very simple to install as well, and they're quite solid. And they don't add too much weight to the bike too, which is good. So yeah, for now I'm pretty happy with the Outback Motortech crash bars, just the lower set. And I know it's not all about looks, but it is a little bit about looks, let's be honest, because this bike is pretty sexy, and I feel like those crash bars don't detract too much from the looks of the bike. So alright, I'll just quickly show you guys the newest addition to the bike. I only put this on a couple of days ago. It's the seat joining kit from t7rally.com. It actually joins the pillion seat to the main seat with a bracket and some bolts. So on a stock bike you use the key to remove the pillion seat, and then you have to use an Allen key. There's 2 bolts to remove the rider seat. With this setup, it's just the key and it's all one piece. So it is a brilliant idea. So you just add this bracket here, and there's a couple of bolts to put in, and it's quite rigid. Very happy with that. Great bit of kit. Now while the seat's off, I'll mention this is the foam oiled pre-filter from Unifilter. It just goes on the snorkel there. And I've also got the solid aluminium billet airbox lid from Alitech, ATRC. I'll put a link if any of you guys are interested in that. I think a few paranoid individuals were worried about the stock plastic airbox lid deforming with heat and whatnot when it's screwed down onto the silicone rubber air filter ring underneath. So they come up with this aluminium lid which won't buckle, obviously. Good thing to have, I think, just to be on the safe side. See, obviously in Australia we get the main air filter is an oiled foam filter as well. Now Unifilter recommend to cut a small amount off the bottom of the snorkel where it goes into the main air filter. I've done that, just about 12 mil I think they recommend. It just sort of disperses the air a little bit more evenly within the air filter, and therefore the dirt doesn't all sort of sit in the one spot. So yeah, very easy to get to all this stuff, especially once you've got that T7 Rally seat joining kit. You've got all your fuses here, battery, airbox. It's all very easily accessible. Another little mod I did was removing the side stand cutout switch. A lot of people recommend doing that because it's just one less thing that can go wrong out in the middle of nowhere, and I agree with that. It is very easy to remove that side stand switch. You just unbolt it from the back of the stand there and follow, just remove the wiring from along the frame here, and it plugs in just up near the radiator. Basically all I did was you have to short out the 2 wires, close the circuit to enable the bike to start, or you can buy a plug that just plugs in up there and that'll do the same thing. Basically I just soldered the 2 wires together, put some heat shrink on them and tucked them away up in there, and that did the same job. So the bike will start now with the side stand down, which can be a bit of a safety issue I guess for some people, but to me it's worth it. It's one less thing that can go wrong, as I said. Right, so I have also fitted some Barkbusters. These are Barkbuster Egos. I couldn't actually use the standard mounts that come with them because they hit on the fuel tank when you had the bike at full lock. So I just found these mounts in my box of bits and pieces, and that works quite well. I think there's some old Barkbuster Jet mounts, I'm not too sure to be honest, but they work, they're quite good. Also I was very pleased to find out that we could use the ODI lock-on hand grips. These are the ODI Rogue grips. I keep crapping on about these lock-on grips, but they're just so good. One of the best things you can do is replace those stock Yamaha grips, especially if you're riding off-road. They're terrible. I've also cut the levers. A lot of you guys know that I hate full-length levers. I just want 2 fingers, especially on the clutch. I don't need the rest of that lever bashing my other knuckles. There they are, just the stock levers. Again, I painted them black just to make them look a bit cooler. And the same deal on this side with the brake lever. Now, I don't understand the first thing about suspension clickers and all that voodoo. What I've gone with was setting that was recommended by somebody on YouTube. I think I've got the compression set to 2 clicks out for both front and rear, and the rebound 6 clicks out. I don't know if that's a good setting or not. To be honest, I can't really tell the difference, but again, I'm no expert rider. I've got the preload on the rear spring wound as tight as it'll go, which doesn't give me as much foot on the ground because it sits up a bit higher with me on it, but it's definitely worth it for softer landings off woboys and stuff like that. A couple of little things I've got here is the Gub +6 phone mount. It's a great little mount, cheap. Tank bag. When I started looking at tank bags, you know, because again, I don't know anything about this sort of stuff, and I went straight to looking at the brands I knew, like Wolfman and Giant Loop and those sort of brands, and you soon find out that, man, they are expensive, you know, for tank bags and saddle bags and all that stuff. Wasn't keen on paying those prices, so I looked around, went to good old eBay, found these Nelson Rig tank bags, and man, they're pretty bloody good. 150 bucks. They mount up really well. No issues with any of that. It actually extends. I don't know if it's something that I would really use much, but you can unzip this bottom zip here and the whole top pops up. I guess in a situation where you needed a bit of extra space to carry more gear, it'd be quite handy. But yeah, it makes it ridiculously tall. But you know, aside from that, it seems to be made out of really good quality materials. You've got a couple of little smaller pouches on the side, and it also comes with a waterproof cover that goes right over the top of it that has a zip on it as well. So yeah, really happy with it for 150 bucks. Probably one of the best things I've done to the bike so far is removed the stickers that normally go here. Big grey patch stickers. There's one there, and one used to cover that whole section as well. I just think it looks much better without them. As far as maintenance goes on this bike, so far I haven't had to do much at all. Basic air filter maintenance, which you've seen how easy that is to get to. It's had one oil change at 1,000 kilometres. The manual recommends 10,000k oil changes and new oil filter at 20,000 k's. For off-road use, I'm going to be changing the oil at 5,000 and probably changing the filter at 10,000. But yeah, that's pretty much a complete breakdown of what I've done to the bike so far. Other than that, she's all stock. Still running the same stock exhaust pipe, hasn't been modified internally or anything. Same header pipe. Suspension's all stock. The gearing is still stock. Haven't changed the gearing ratios. Anyway, this beast is screaming out to be ridden. We'll jump on, we'll go check out some single tracks, and I'll try and give you guys a bit of a rundown of what I think of the bike so far. So yeah, I've had a number of enduro bikes, and I was looking at getting into something a bit different, you know, doing a bit of touring and exploring. Basically stuff that you're a bit limited to how far you can go on, say, a 500 EXC when you need to change the oil every 15 hours and all that sort of crap. Now to me, this bike, when you when you sort of go to move it around in the garage and stuff like that, you realise that it basically is a road. It feels like a road bike, you know. It's heavy, man. It's heavy. It's a road bike with 18 and 21 inch wheels, and, you know, decent ground clearance and decent suspension travel. So how much can you really expect off-road from something that heavy, you know? It's sure, it's, you know, it's lighter than other bikes, like the Africa Twin and various other adventure bikes, you know, the big 1200 GSAs and machines like that. But it's still a heavy bike. I mean, look, again, I'm coming from a 500 XC, so that's what I'm comparing it to. But when you get out here on this thing, again, look, you know, a lot of guys want sort of to compare this to other big adventure bikes, and I can't do that. But I can tell you that, you know, I am surprised by what this thing will do, even with a muppet like me on it. I mean, like single track like this, easy single track, that's not mega gnarly hill climbs and all that sort of shit. You can have a blast out here doing this stuff. Bit of a hill climb here. You know, and you got to remember, I've got the stock bloody tyres on this thing. You can get out in this stuff like this and you can have an absolute blast. And you can ride the bike out here from home. And you can ride it home again, as long as you don't break yourself while you're out here. So yeah, you know, and the best thing is you can park it up when you get home, and you don't have to worry about even thinking about oil changes or checking valve clearances for, you know, forever, basically. 40,000 kilometers until you got to get the first valve check done on this bike. It's just crazy. You've got to treat this thing like a big dirt bike. It is a bunch of fun, I've got to be honest. I love my 500, but I'm just having a lot of fun on this thing. I can do the same trails that I normally do on the 500, try and do them on this, and it's just that much more of a challenge. It makes it fun, you know. Man, you can feel the weight of it, but I think, you know, when this bike is under its own power, it feels as light as, you know, as you want it to be. There's nothing to it, but it's just when you're manhandling the damn thing, like if you're stuck down a dead end track like I was not so long ago. That's when you sort of wish it was a bit lighter. Now, if I had to complain about anything on this bike so far, and of course nothing is perfect, so, you know, of course there's going to be complaints. Number one complaint would be the throttle. It feels it's a very on-off throttle, especially at low RPM. It, like when you're in slow traffic and stuff like that, it can be very difficult to be smooth on, you know, especially when you're off idle. It's sort of it's like a 1/1,000,000th of a degree turn of the throttle from to nothing to a 5% throttle sort of thing, if you know what I mean. So, you know, it takes a bit of getting used to. But that is a minor complaint, and it's something that I had to deal with on the WR250R as well. But obviously with that bike only having about 3 horsepower, it wasn't as much of a problem. But with this torque monster, it's a bit of a you can bunny hop up and down the street a bit. Another complaint would be how hard it is to do wheelies on this freaking thing. But I suppose when you've got no traction on the rear tyre, it doesn't help. Right, now, along with that on-off throttle, I feel like the gearbox is a little bit clunky, like even compared to my 500 dirt bike. The 500 feels a lot smoother in the gearbox than this thing. I kind of wish this thing had a hydraulic clutch. I mean, come on, Yamaha, what, you know, when are they ever going to start putting hydraulic clutches on their bikes? It's a minor complaint, you know, like this clutch is heavy in comparison. Like I don't, it doesn't bother me too much, especially doing adventure riding. You get into the tight, gnarly stuff, and if you're on the clutch all the time, it can get a bit much. But I jump on the 500 after riding this, and honestly, it feels like the clutch is broken. It's just so easy. What else have I written down on my list here? Oh, the brakes. Front brakes on this, beautiful, I love them. Must be those big dual discs. The rear brakes, and I don't know what it is, they just feel inadequate. I don't like the rear brakes at all. I think maybe a braided brake line would stop them being so spongy. I mentioned it to the dealer when I took it in to get the first service, and they bled them, and they said no, that's pretty normal. So yeah, I don't know, they're pretty shit. Again, not a deal breaker, but something that can be improved, that's for sure. Pull up, Bessie. Oh, the suspension. I don't really know where to start with that. Like, as I said, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I feel like the front definitely needs better, you know, stiffer springs or something. Maybe revalving it, fix it, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I've bottomed the front out a few times, and not doing anything crazy either. Not doing big jumps or anything. But yeah, I'm not going to talk much about the suspension because I just don't know enough about it. It's adequate, it's fine. I'm not going to spend any money on it at the present time. It's for the riding that I want to do, it's fine. It's going to do me just fine. So another minor complaint would be the ABS, how it comes on every time you stop the engine. It'd be really good if it just stayed how it was set. What's going on here? They've taken that little bridge out. Yeah, I don't know, like either have the ABS keep its setting until you change it back, or be able to change it while you're riding, because having to pull up and turn it off every time you forget, it's a pain in the ass. Again, not a deal breaker, and if I'm going to compare it to the KTM bikes, where with Nat's bike you got to go into a freaking menu and shit to turn off the traction control every time you turn the bike off. This one little button to press here isn't that bad, so you know, it's all relative. I'll put it that way. It could be worse, but it could be better. Another small whinge, they don't provide you with a hex tool to get the front axle out. I think it's a 19mm Allen key that you need. That's what I've got under the seat in that little kit. It's just a one of those multi-sized hex tools that you can use to, you know, to get the front wheel off if you need to change a tube or whatever. It sort of seems like a bit of an oversight by Yamaha to me to not supply, you know, they do supply a toolkit, but that ain't a part of it. When it comes to the cockpit of the bike, I got no complaints about it. It's got all the information there that I need. It's easy to read. All the controls are very basic to use. It doesn't have anything that you don't need. You know, it's a very basic bike, and that's sort of a lot of what drew me to it. You know, it just doesn't have all that crap that you get with KTMs and stuff like that. As far as the engine goes, it's a fun engine, man, and if it's as bulletproof as what they say it is, then, you know, they're onto a winner with this thing. You know, in a perfect world, I'd probably want maybe just a little bit more horsepower to have just a little bit more fun. But man, this thing is fun enough as it is, and it's not so scary that it's going to get you in trouble, sort of thing. But I've heard a lot of people saying how linear the power is, and it really is. Like, comparing again to my 500 EXC, that thing's just got so much down-low grunt, which is what I love in a bike, but it kind of really tapers off towards the top end. This thing is just doesn't have as much down the bottom, but it's just the same all the way through. You know, you can rev it to the freaking moon, and it's just this is awesome. Very predictable power. I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm saying. That's why I'm riding slow, guys. It's not because I'm a slow rider or anything. So, bike comfort. Let's talk about that. The seat is great. I think the sitting position is pretty comfortable for me. Even standing up is good. It's really good, actually. I'm about 5'11". I'm not sure what my inseam is, but this bike is pretty tall for me, and being that the seat's a little wider than what I'm used to, it's a bit tricky getting a foot to the ground sometimes, but it's doable. The handling of this bike, well, again, a lot of people reckon that this is a really pretty well behaved and good handling bike for its size, and so I just have to agree with with what they say, because again, I got nothing to compare it to except for enduro bikes, and although this thing feels like it handles like a pig compared to a little bike, I mean, that's sort of what you got to expect. And if I'm up at like me, can ride something like this through single track, yeah, must handle all right. So anyway, guys, I don't know really what else I can tell you about this bike. As I said, I still love it. If there's anything that you want answered that I didn't cover, yeah, leave a comment, and you know, if you like the big T7, make sure you hit that subscribe button too, because there'll be plenty more videos on this big girl coming out in the future. Cheers, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Me. Yeah. That's It's a fun hill to blast up. So's that one. Come on, find some traction. Third gear maybe. Spinning all the way. Yoo-hoo! Oh, it's way too hot to be doing this stuff in this jacket. I'm fucking do that up. Idiots. Guys could have told me my fucking tank bag wasn't done up. Idiot.